Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Save Ice and welcome back to a brand new video. So today I'm gonna have some Black Ops 2 for you guys, and this is gonna be my 5 favorite class setups to run in Black Ops 2. And basically I'm gonna have a class setup that I basically use for everything as the first one, where I go for kill streaks and just use an assault rifle. It's pretty good. It's probably my most used class. And then I've got a good SMG class, a class that I use to just rush really hard. LMG class that I'll usually use on maps like Nuketown, where you can wallbang people really easily. And then of course my quick scoping or sniping class. So let's get right into it. The first class is gonna be my class that I use to go for kill streaks or just in general. So for the primary, you're gonna want to be running the MTAR. You could also run something like the Type 25 or even like the SWAT, M27, SCAR, M8A1, or the AN94. In my opinion, those are my best assault rifles in the game. But my personal favorite is probably the TAR. It might be because since this is a new profile and I first started out with the TAR, so I already had a few more attachments on it. But close second is probably the SCAR for me. I just really like the way that the SCAR plays, and especially its iron sights. And also the SWAT, that's really good. I think I have a pretty good KD with the SWAT, and that's also really good for going for kill streaks, and especially for using in search and destroy. And so for the attachments, you're going to want to be running Target Finder. I like Target Finder. It's pretty nice. It'll show you where the enemies are a whole lot easier, help you to, well, find your targets easier, and it seems like you can see them a whole lot more clearly. But I mean, you can just run the Reflex or any of these sights really the same. If you don't like the sights, then you can just run iron sights. But I think with the sights, it pretty much just comes down to preference, and you can get another slot if you want to throw something else in there if you don't want to run the sight. And so for the 2 attachments, you're going to want to be running foregrip and stock. So stock is really useful for when you're attacking and you have to aim around a doorway, and you can move fast while you're aiming. And then foregrip, you're not going to have as much recoil. You'll be more accurate and kill your enemies faster, especially from longer ranges. And there's not going to be a secondary for this class. If you took this out in primary gunfighter, then you could run a secondary and maybe a second tactical or something like that. But for the perks, for perk 1, you're going to be running hardline if you're going to go for kill streaks, and that's what I'm going to be running. I mean, you could still run something like lightweight or blind eye or ghost, but I'm going to be running hardline just so it's easier to get those easy kill streaks. Perk 2, scavenger, you don't want to be running out of ammo, especially with this good gun that you're going to be using, which is going to come down to personal preference. I don't really like to run enemy guns. I mean, I can do fine with them, but I just like to run the same gun throughout my lifespan in Call of Duty. I mean, if I die and then I'm running something else, I don't know, it just seems different. And then for perk 3, I'm going to be running extreme conditioning. I just like to run extreme conditioning. It can help you get to different places faster, and it's just annoying when you run out of stamina, so I like to run extreme conditioning. For the lethal, I'm going to run a grenade. If you want, you can run like a combat axe or a Semtex, but a bouncing Betty, that's not going to be quite as good for this class. I mean, you're not going to be necessarily rushing. I mean, it can be pretty helpful. I mean, just like a Claymore would be. These are basically the same thing. But C4, I'm probably hardly ever going to run C4 unless I'm doing like a trolling video or something like that, because C4 is just like the most annoying thing in the game for me. For tactical, you're going to be running a shot charge. I mean, those things are just so overpowered. I mean, if you get hit by a shot charge, then you're pretty much done unless you're running tactical mask. And then wild card, you're going to be running primary gunfighter, so you can get those 3 attachments. For the second class, this is going to be my SMG class. You're going to want to be rushing with this, and you can play it safe if you want. I mean, it's just a pretty good all-around class, kind of like the first one. But you're going to be running the MP7. In my opinion, this is probably about the second or third best SMG. I don't really use the Peacekeeper. I know a whole lot of you might not even have the Peacekeeper, but I just don't really run it. I don't know, I just don't really like that. Since I bought that DLC, I get it. I mean, I'll run it occasionally. I mean, it's still a pretty good gun, but I just don't run it. The MSMC, if you like that better, you can run that, but I just kind of like the MP7 better, especially because you're going to have the silencer on it. And so for the attachments, yeah, you're going to have a silencer, a reflex sight. Like I said, you don't really have to run a sight if you want, but I like to run a sight. It gives me better peripheral vision. And fast mags. I mean, with the MP7, it seems like you're just reloading all the time, so I like to run fast mags. Once again, you're not going to have a secondary. Perk 1, I'm going to be running Flak Jacket. That way it'll be harder to be killed by things like Bouncing Betty, and you're just not going to get naded and stuff like that quite as much. And it's pretty good to run, especially if you're going to be rushing. Perk 2, Toughness. It seems like the MP7 already has a whole lot of recoil, and I'm obviously not going to be running grip. So Toughness is going to help out when you're going to be rushing and you're going to be exchanging gunfire. You can also run Scavenger, because like I said, the MP7 runs out of ammo pretty quickly, it seems like. And you can also run something like Fast Hands if you'd like. Perk 3, Tactical Mask. Like I said, shock charges are so overpowered. If you're going to be rushing, then Tactical Mask is pretty convenient. For the lethal, I'm going to be running a Semtex. That seems like it works pretty good. I just like running a Semtex. Tactical, like I said, shock charges are overpowered. Even if you are rushing, they still work pretty good. The wild cards, of course, you're going to be running primary gunfighter. And then this is pretty much just going to be like an all-out rush class, where you just run in the enemy spawn and just shoot and shoot and shoot until you die. MSMC, this is a pretty good SMG. It's pretty good for rushing, pretty good time to kill. Reflex sight, like I said, I like running the sights better. Foregrip, this gun seems like it has a pretty good amount of recoil, so foregrip will help you out there. And then you're going to be running stock, so that way you can go around corners and stuff a whole lot faster when you're going to be pre-aiming. It'll help you rush faster. For your perk 1, you're going to be running lightweight. That way you can just be faster than anyone. I mean, you're like Usain Bolt or something like that. Just rushing in there with lightweight and extreme conditioning. And then you got fast hands. I mean, that's pretty obvious for a rushing class. You could also run toughness, like I said, but I'm going to be running fast hands, especially if you just need to get out a quick grenade or a quick flashbang or something like that. And then extreme conditioning, so you can be faster, obviously. Semtex, those are pretty good. They're going to be good for when you're rushing. And then flashbang, like I said, you're just going to be rushing in there. It'll be pretty good to keep the enemies dazed for a second, get an easy kill with that flashbang. And primary gunfighter, obviously, if you're going to be running the 3 attachments. And this is, like I said, like my Nuketown class. I mean, honestly, I don't really like Nuketown 2025. It doesn't seem like it plays very well. It seems like all you really do is get quickscope. So what I like to do is just take an LMG, make everyone in the lobby mad, and just shoot up those walls, and then maybe they won't pick Nuketown 2025 for the next map. And then, so for the attachments, you're going to be running Target Finder. That seems pretty good when you're just kind of spraying with LMG. It'll give you a much easier idea of where you're going to need to be shooting. Then you're going to be running Foregrip. The LMGs, they seem like they kick a pretty good amount in this game, so Foregrip will be helpful. And then FMJ, so you can just wallbang people. It's also work kind of good in like search and destroy if you know about where the enemy team's going to be. And then for your secondary, you're actually going to be running a Type 45. That's my favorite pistol in the game. This pistol is pretty good. This pistol is good if you're just going to be like rushing or something. But the Type 45, that's a pretty good pistol. It seems a lot like the Deagle to me for some reason. Then Flak Jacket, when you're just going to be sitting there spraying, people are going to be tossing nades at you. Toughness, that way you can just you're not gonna have as much recoil. This class works really good as with as little recoil as you can possibly have. Attack mask, that'll help you when they're throwing like things like flashbangs and concussion. I mean, you're just gonna see lethals and tacticals coming at you from everywhere when you're just staying on that radar, spraying, trying to wallbang people. And then grenade, you could run pretty much any of these. It doesn't really matter, but I just like to run a nade so I can just chuck it over at the enemies. And then you're gonna be needing to run primary gunfighter. So this is gonna be my sniper class. This is either a hard scoping class or a quick scoping class. Personally, I like to quick scope, so I'm going to be running the ballista. If you would rather hard scope, I would suggest running the DSR. It has better damage and stuff like that. And then if you're going to be hard scoping, you could run like a thermal or like a zoom, probably a ballistic CPU. But a fast mag, that's really helpful for if you miss a couple quick scopes and you gotta reload. And then laser sight, I mean, obviously you can get no scopes and quick scopes easier. Tech 45, with a sniper you pretty much have to run a secondary, because you never know when you might have to yank it out and pistol whip somebody. And then lightweight, the snipers run really slow in this game, so that's just really convenient. Fast hands, this way you can either throw, like, if you want to be trick shotting, you can throw your combat axe easier, your shock charges or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it, especially if you're going to be using something like a tomahawk. And then dexterity, this is really essential for quick scoping. That way if you get caught in the sprint, you can aim down your sights a bit quicker, and it's really helpful. A bouncing Betty, this is more for if you're going to be hard scoping. If you're going to be quick scoping, I would kind of suggest running a combat axe in case you run out of ammo and you just need to get something at the enemy and try to daze them or slow them down or whatever. And then for the tactical, you're going to be running shock charges, especially if you're going to be hard scoping, just like at a window or something. This is really helpful. That way you'll know if someone's going to try to rush in at you. And if you're going to be trick shotting, a lot of people like to use shock charges when they trick shot. But that is going to be my 5 favorite class setups to use in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And these class setups seem to work very, very well. I might feature like a competitive mode class setup where you're going to be playing like a UMG or something. And I'll make different class setups for that. But I hope that you guys enjoy the video, and you should really try some of these class setups out. And I'm going to be using these a lot. You'll see them in my videos. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. And make sure, like my class setup says, to leave a like and subscribe. Peace.